Hey friends, it's David again, and it is a brand new year. We are back on the road. We are out of the cold of the Midwest, left Indiana and hightailed it down to Snowbird in Arizona, where it is warm, it is dry. We've had nothing but blue skies since we got here. It's so nice. And you know, we came from snow, wet, freezing temperatures of Indiana down to the warm deserts, and we snowbird every single year. And this is actually the third time we've been back to this exact campsite in Arizona. And you know, since we're always snowbirding, I figured that it would be good to share with you guys our favorite places to snowbird that we typically return to every year to beat the cold of the winter. Being able to just skip winter essentially by going down into the desert is just so nice. And if you guys were looking to snowbird too, if this is something you're gonna want to start doing, or if you already do but you're looking for new places, then you found the right video. I'm gonna be showing you guys maps that display the BLM land and the National Forest land in the areas that I'm gonna be talking about in this video. And the maps that I'm going to be showing you are from our favorite campsite finding app called the DYRT. One of the awesome features that the pro version of the DYRT has is map boundaries, and it'll show you all of the boundaries of any BLM land, National Forest land, and National Park land right there in the app, so that there's no guessing as to whether or not you're in an area that you can camp in. And if you guys want a 90-day free trial to that campsite finding app, go ahead and click the link in the video description below and use promo code FATE, and yeah, you can get 90 days free. Give it a test drive. We love it, and I'm sure you will too. But let's get to our favorite places to snowbird. Our favorite place to snowbird is, without question, around Phoenix, Arizona. There's so much BLM land, there's so much National Forest area around Phoenix that it is no problem finding a campsite, finding a place to disperse camp. And you know, because there's so much land, there's BLM and National Forest land, you can kind of bounce around Phoenix, you know, maxing out your stay limits, 2 weeks here, 2 weeks there. And you know, if you have 3 campsites that are in different managed areas, then you can pretty much spend the entire winter dispersed camping near Phoenix, Arizona. And where we typically camp, we're pretty close to the city. It's only about a 30-minute drive into a massive city where we can get just about anything we might need. You know, there's Walmarts nearby, there's pharmacies if we need medication, there's just really everything that we could possibly need in Phoenix, Arizona. And the weather here is fantastic. It's almost always sunny in the winter. The highs right now are in the mid 60s, lows are in the low to mid 40s. So this is totally doable for us. And it's January, it's early January right now. And so having those type of temperatures in the middle of the winter with just blue skies that can constantly charge up our batteries with our solar, you know, it just really doesn't get any better than this. Quartzsite, Arizona is another great place to snowbird to, and it's, I mean, in the RVing community, it is one of, if not the most popular snowbirding destination because of all of the BLM land surrounding Quartzsite. It's just an incredible amount. And Quartzsite has something kind of rare also. They have long-term BLM camping. So if you don't want to have to bounce around every 2 weeks, while dispersed camping, if you're into dispersed camping, then I think you can stay at that long-term BLM place for, Ro, is it 6 months?
I think so.
It's a long time. It's measured in months, not weeks, and it is surprisingly affordable. It's very, very cheap there. So yeah, if you're looking for, and the temperatures in Quartzsite are going to be similar to where they are, or what they are in Phoenix. So yeah, if you're looking for long-term camping where you don't have to move around, Quartzsite's excellent. They've also got the big tent RV show every year there, and so if you really enjoy touring, different types of rigs, new RVs, you know, you're always on the up and up of new models that are out there, then going to that RV show is actually a lot of fun. Ro and I have gone there twice now, and yeah, touring RVs, nice luxurious fifth wheels that you could never really afford is what we do there. It's actually a lot of fun. But a downside is that the town of Quartzsite is super small. And so there, other than some of those RV shows and off-roading, definitely a lot of off-roading there. Other than that, there's not really much to do in the town. And, you know, the grocery stores there are really small. And so you can't really find a lot of the brands that you usually like to have. But, you know, if that's not an issue for you, then head on down to Quartzsite and check it out. Just south of Quartzsite, Arizona, on Highway 95, right along the US-Mexico border, is Yuma, Arizona. And we've been there a number of times because Ro's grandparents have a house in Yuma, and when we first started our travels, we would spend winter down with them, and it's a great city. It's fairly big, and so you can get just about whatever you need in Yuma. There's not nearly as much BLM land surrounding Yuma as there is, say, Quartzsite. So finding dispersed camping might be a little bit harder, but if you aren't a dispersed camper, you like staying in RV parks, then Yuma is a great place to go because there are a ton of RV parks in Yuma, and some of them, a lot of them, are really nice. Because Yuma is such a huge snowbirding destination, it's a very popular place for people to snowbird at, and I'm sure you can find RV parks that have some pretty decent monthly rates, so if you want to stay in Yuma all winter, then I'm sure there's a pretty affordable option for you. Yuma, like Phoenix and Quartzsite, and really anywhere in southwest Arizona, is going to get very little rain and stay pretty dang warm over the winter, and so that's just perfect. Lake Havasu City, Arizona is another excellent snowbirding destination, another very popular one with RVers. There are a decent number of RV parks that you can stay in, and there's also a decent amount of BLM land around the city that is accessible by RV. A lot of it is group camping though, so you're not going to really be able to get a secluded campsite like what we have here in Phoenix, but Lake Havasu City is great. There's a lot of stuff to do in the town because it is very much a tourist town. That is how the city was originally founded. It was founded to be a tourist attraction, a winter destination for people from the northern states to come on down to. And yeah, it lives up to that. And so one thing that Ro and I have done in the past is we will start our snowbirding, we'll start the winter season down in Yuma, we'll stay there for a little bit, and then we'll head on up to Quartzsite, stay there for a little while, and then head on up to Lake Havasu City, because they're all just kind of right in a line with each other along the Arizona-California border. And so Ro and I like to start heading north, you know, as, you know, we get into February, we get into March, we like to slowly crawl north because it just starts to get way too hot down here in southern Arizona. And also we like being north for the summer. So yeah, that's a really good tactic that you can use as well. And Lake Havasu City is great. And then after Lake Havasu City, you can keep heading north, pretty much straight north almost, to Las Vegas, Nevada. Again, ton of BLM land around there, and a lot of RV parks, so you can absolutely find a place to camp in the whole sort of Las Vegas area. Ro and I have camped north, we've camped south, and we've camped east of Las Vegas. We've been all over that city, and as I'm sure you know, Las Vegas is a huge city, so you know, you can find anything that you could possibly want to do in Las Vegas, Nevada. It stays real nice and warm there. And again, you know, as you're heading into March, as you're heading into April, you can head on up north to Las Vegas to continue your trip back north as the winter season ends. And that is exactly what Ro and I do. We'll typically leave Phoenix, Arizona, and then we'll head northwest up to Las Vegas. And and sort of bounce around from like a BLM to a state park to national forest, and before continuing back up north as we go into spring and it starts to warm up in some of the colder areas in the winter. I'm going to lump the next two cities into one because they're sort of the same area. I know the way the land looks is vastly different between Sedona, Arizona and Camp Verde, Arizona, but they're both in the Verde Valley and they're really close to each other, so I'm going to kind of lump them together. They are just north of Phoenix, Arizona, and historically that's where Ro and I would go after we would leave Phoenix. We would head to Camp Verde, stay there for a couple weeks, and then we would head up north to Sedona. But we are pretty much going to stop doing that because it stays too cold there for too long. We usually want to start moving north by March at the absolute latest. And the problem is that in Camp Verde and Sedona, it can still be pretty cold and rainy in March. It doesn't really start to warm up to our liking until about April, but even then it's still really rainy. And on top of that, Sedona, Arizona is just so busy. There is a lot of national forest land, and I think there's some BLM land too, and so finding camping areas is really, really easy, but finding an open site is actually really difficult because Sedona is such a cool place to go. It just gets so much traffic, and Ro and I are finding it difficult to find camping areas, not camping areas, but finding an open campsite. But it's definitely cool and it's definitely worth going to. Camp Verde, if you want to stay a little further away from Sedona, is not nearly as busy, and it's pretty easy to find camping in the national forests surrounding Camp Verde. And then the last of our favorite places to snowbird to is just near Joshua Tree National Park. Well, we've stayed inside Joshua Tree as well, and it is a great national park to camp inside of as well, but just like all national parks, it can be pretty difficult to get a spot if you haven't reserved one. So if you do want to stay there, you're going to want to reserve one ahead of time, but if you don't want to stay inside the park, or you can't, but you still want to check the park out, there's plenty of BLM land south and north of the national park that you can stay in. So if you want to stay south of the park for 2 weeks where it's warmer, and then move up to the north side of the park, which is a little higher elevation, so it's a bit cooler, you can check out one side of the national park, then go camp on the other side and check out that side of the national park as well, because Joshua Tree National Park is huge, and so it does take a really long time to drive through the entire national park. Ro and I went there on our first year on the road, and we loved it. And something I just noticed is that Joshua Tree is only the second place that is not in the state of Arizona. All of these places have been in Arizona except for Joshua Tree, which is in California, and Las Vegas, which is in Nevada. So I think you can tell what our favorite state to snowbird in is, and it is absolutely Arizona. We love it here. This is an excellent state, and we just have had so many good times here. We've made a lot of good memories, and it's just excellent here in the winter. You can't beat this weather. I mean, look at it. This is excellent. But that's it for this video. Those are all of our favorite places to snowbird in. And again, if you want to, you really should check out the DYRT. It is an excellent campsite finding app. Again, the pro version allows you to have the map filters that you've seen in this video, so you can absolutely tell for certain that you're on BLM land, you're in that national forest, you're in the national park, so you know that you can indeed camp in those areas. And they also have a lot of other awesome features, like cell signal is another pro version. You can filter by cell signal, and you can find the campgrounds that will absolutely have cell signal for the major 3 carriers, if that's very important to you, or you can also filter by Wi-Fi to see if those campgrounds have Wi-Fi. Again, there's a link in the video description below to the DYRT, and use promo code FATE to get 90 days of the Pro version for free. But that's all for this video. I'll see you guys next time. Bye.
Bye. Bye.